Hi, my name is Tanmayee. I currently work as business lead of questionable engineering, FRC team 9015.
Hi, my name is Liam, and I currently do graphic design for the team. So who we are, we're a community team based in Jersey City, New Jersey. We're currently comprised of high school students from 5 different high schools. We were founded just 3 years ago. However, we were able to win Rookie All-Star our first year and qualify for Worlds. Our second year, we won Engineering Inspiration and qualified for Worlds again. And then our third year, we won Impact. We were founded due to a robotics team at a local high school shutting down. And that's why our mission statement is to provide equitable access to both FIRST and STEM in our community. Currently, we're split up into 3 different sub-teams: business, programming, and mechanical. And even though most of the stuff we will be talking about in this presentation is handled by our business team, since outreach is the center of our team, we require that every member participate in these outreach activities.
So outreach is really important for a couple different reasons. It helps you build long-term support from your community when you engage with them actively, and also helps you gain new members for your team. Regardless of whether you are a school or community team, being at outreach events and talking to students about what your team does can help you grow your team. Whenever you are at outreach events talking to people, there's always opportunities to gain sponsorships and in general increase visibility for your team. And then you should always focus on inspiring younger students, encourage them to continue with FIRST, STEM, and to spread FIRST's mission.
So our outreach experience. As prior mentioned, we were founded due to a lack of STEM access, so that's the problem we strive to address with our outreach activities. We do a range of different activities in many different locations, mainly in the urban area because that's where we are currently situated. However, we try to expand that to different areas as well. In addition to building local connections through community events, we strive to bridge our outreach to the international level. Over the past summer, in partnership with the Upenda United Foundation, we were able to teach students in Kenya the basics in Arduino, CAD, and electronics. In addition, we have partnerships with Liberty Science Center, which is a 300,000 square foot interactive STEM museum, and we partnered through their engineering weekend in which we were able to take over the second floor and the entranceway to teach them STEM concepts for students all over the tri-state region. We also have 2 affiliated FLL teams, Duct Tape and Drill Bits, which are fully led and mentored by our students. And overall, we strive to have sustainability and effective marketing.
So this is Oscar the Robot Trash Can, and he was QE's first outreach initiative. So when founding members first created the team, they needed a way to gain the typical skills that are required for an FRC season, and they did that by making Oscar, who is made out of an old motorized wheelchair and car batteries. Since the team's founding, Oscar has been to every single one of our outreach events and has become very well known around Jersey City and beyond. That has made Oscar our team's mascot, and he is now very closely associated with our branding, making QE more recognizable when people see Oscar. At our events, people of all ages are able to engage with him, whether that means driving him around, learning about how he works, and it's a way of showing our team's sustainability and creativity from when we first started. So these are the 4 pillars of making your outreach effective. The first one is consistency. You should always show up regularly to maintain strong partnerships. For example, if you are working with the library to do an event there, you should keep following up, get feedback, and then see if you can go back to do more. You should always strive to make STEM approachable for people of all backgrounds and all ages. So this can mean using simple explanations, hands-on activities, and in general, making sure that everyone on your team is engaging positively and effectively with your audience. At outreach events, you should always keep people interacting. They shouldn't just be standing there listening to you talk. So this can mean robot demos, hands-on activities, having materials for people to look through. This means that your team is constantly engaged with the audience. And then scalability. So regardless of how small your outreach program in your team starts out, you should always have initiatives that are scalable. So this can be reusable templates, events that can be repeated, kits that you can expand. So as your team grows, so can your outreach. And then this is how you quantify the success of an event. So after an event, you should always have a recap with your team and analyze these areas. So the audience, how many people showed up? Was it more than you expected, less than you expected? And were attendees able to learn and genuinely understand the concepts that you were trying to teach and understand more about your team? And then as for the quality of the activity or the robot demo, did things go smoothly? Is there something you need to work on? Did you have enough materials? Do you need to get more materials? And then were you able to form a new partnership? Did you collect contacts to reach out to? If so, has your team reached out to them yet? Something we recommend doing is splitting up people on your team and assigning them a contact to reach out to, and then making sure they follow up with that contact. And then for overall team performance documentation, were you able to get all the photos and videos that you need? And then overall, was your team organized? What do you need to improve for next time? Just sort of as a recap to understand what you can do better for your next event.
So types of outreach you can run. Number one is school fairs. You can volunteer to do robot demos. For example, we were able to volunteer our time at Franklin High School in New Jersey, and through that we were able to recruit new members. Two is workshops. You can do STEM outreach activities at a local library. This is a great way to interact with your community, especially those of lower age groups, and teach them things that are not normally taught in the classroom setting. Three is community events. It's important to sign up for as many local events as possible to really increase your visibility as a team, so your community knows what you do as a team besides what you do during the regular season and building a robot. Four is FLL. You can start your own FLL team in your community or school district. As prior mentioned, we have 2 affiliated community teams. 5 is STEM kits. You can create small STEM outreach activities to distribute or sell. For example, we have made multiple iterations of sustainable STEM kits made out of 100% repurposed cardboard, in which we were able to donate to different local nonprofits, such as Welcome Home Jersey City, which is a nonprofit that strives to provide STEM access to refugee and asylee children. And 6 is volunteering. You can volunteer as referees or judges at FLL and FTC competitions. Not only does this allow you to apply your knowledge as an FRC competitor, it allows you to bridge the gap between FRC, FTC, and FLL. And it's important to expand. You don't want to just stick to one activity, and it's important to take initiative in your community and do whatever you believe is best fit for them. So some examples of events. We volunteer bi-monthly at repair cafes hosted by Repair Cafe Garden State, in which we are able to use our mechanical skills and electronical skills to fix community members' broken household items. We do STEM workshops. Over the past couple of summers, we've been able to help over 100 students learn different concepts such as pulley machines, pulley systems, rubber band cars, and Rube Goldberg machines. And lastly is school showcases. You can attend a school's end of year showcase to introduce your team and recruit new members, or if you're a community team like us, you can host an open house to introduce the community that way. So strategic outreach events. When planning an event, you want to use your resources to the best of your ability. For example, we identified that our mechanical team was using a laser cutter to cut out pieces for our robot, and we decided to implement that in creating a new STEM outreach activity, automatas and STEM kits. You also, when including the robot for activities, you want to use niche mechanisms in a different way. This is important because not everyone knows what the objective of a certain FRC season was. For example, the 2024 robot for the crescendo season, we decided to use that for a ring toss activity with our community. We designed a pole, and the objective was to use the notes and launch them and land them onto the pole. Next is to target and address an issue in your community or environment. This ties back to your mission statement. For us, that's addressing STEM education. And lastly is to learn skills for free that can improve activities. For example, we tried to implement CAD to better our initiatives. And when deciding an event to attend, it's important to first identify which past events you quantified as being very successful. This is basically you judging whether or not you want to attend an event again. Next is to identify which events align most with your mission statement. For us, that is doing events that have to do with STEM education. And this is important because not every event you attend is affiliated with FRC or is about robots in general. And next is to check feasibility of deadlines, day of the event, cost of attending, how many people can actually attend the event, and that kind of stuff.
Okay, so these are the steps that we take when we are planning an outreach event. The first thing we do is define the goal. So this means deciding what the purpose of the event is. Is it to increase exposure to STEM, recruit new members, in general introduce your team to the community? And from there, you want to define your audience. So what's the age range? How many people are going to be there? What's their experience level? You want to figure out if they're affiliated with FIRST or if they don't know anything about FIRST. And then you can start planning your actual activities. So you want to make sure that the activities you plan for the event are appropriate to the audience and also the setting of your event. So is it indoors, outdoors, and then how big is the event going to be? And something QE has started doing recently that we found effective was to assign a lead from our business team for the event. So one person to coordinate all the tasks between members and make sure that everything runs smoothly. And then you want to prepare all your materials. So you should have, for example, if you're doing an outreach activity, you should have multiple working prototypes and make sure that everyone on your team is comfortable working with the activity and knows how to do it for an event. Something that we recommend doing is creating a packing list. So this is a packing list we had for an event a couple months ago. And so we brought posters for branding and marketing so that people know more about our team. We brought our 2024 robot to this event, so these are all the supplies we need for that. And then Oscar, who I mentioned earlier, all of Oscar's supplies. And then we brought our business documentation that we use for award judging, just sort of to introduce our team. So this was like our business plan, our outreach document, our branding standards, and our impact binder. We brought some of our awards because this was a school showcase, sort of to just show everyone the awards that we've won in the past. We brought some examples of graphics and some of our merch, monitors, flyers, and then some FLL supplies to introduce our FLL teams. So this is really important to create a packing list because it helps your team stay organized when you're getting ready for an event. And then you can split up different members between different things. For example, people on the mechanical team can manage all of the robot things, while people on the business team can pack the business tote, etc. And then on the actual day of the event, you want to arrive early, make sure you set up, and make sure that everyone on your team is engaging actively with the audience there. We recommend assigning photographers for the event and making sure that they're taking more than enough photos, both for your team's personal use and for your social media. And after the event, always send out a thank you email to the host to maintain the partnership. And this is a checklist that we use when we are planning an outreach event. So these are all the different tasks that we do. The first stage is ideation. So when you're first getting introduced to the event, sort of figuring out how it's going to work. And from there, you want to start planning your activities, what you're going to do. And then execution, so this is where you actually start working and preparing for the event. Then you have tasks on the day of the event, and then post-event. Post-event things can be like recaps, writing a blog post, a social media post, sending out a thank you email. And then this is an outreach budget spreadsheet. So this is to manage your budget for the event. For example, if you're doing an outreach activity, whatever materials you might need, this is to track your spending and keep up to see if you've received them yet, etc. And these are some examples of outreach activities we've done in the past. So rubber band cars was something we recently did over the summer. We had 5 different designs of rubber band cars. We did a little lesson plan to teach the kids the physics behind how rubber band cars work, and then each QE member guided a kid through building their own and racing at the end. Automatas are QE's most recent outreach activity, where we use this as a way to train new members with CAD. So QE members CADed automatas, and then we use our laser cutter as an efficient way to produce them. This is an example of our automata here. So this is all laser cut and CADed by QE members. And then what we did is we organized these into small kits with instruction manuals, and we distributed them to kids at Welcome Home Jersey City, which Liam talked about earlier. Rube Goldberg machines and launcher machines are both STEM workshops we've done in the past. We used recycled materials for both, and essentially kids learned these STEM concepts behind how both of those things work, and then QE members worked with them to help build their own, and for the launcher machines, they had like a competition at the end to see whose could go the farthest. This is an example of the instruction manuals we had for the automatas. So you can see here, like that's the actual design, everything that it comes with, and then how to build them. We found that graphics with our outreach activities are very important. For specifically this event, there were QE members guiding kids through building their own, but for example, for the older kids, it was easier for them to just be able to reference the instruction manual and sort of build it by themselves. Or, you know, if you're not working with them and they want to take it home, this is another way that they'll still be able to build it properly at the end. And so regardless of how small your outreach program starts, it's always important to grow and expand. And this is an example of something we did. So earlier this year, we attended a local festival where we just demonstrated our robot and we introduced our team to the community, where we met a lady who works at a school nearby, and we gave her our contact information, and she contacted us soon asking if we would attend their school's end of year showcase. We attended, and then we heard back from her again saying that they wanted to work with us to do something else. And we are now working with them effectively to implement a STEM program in their school. So this is an example of how even if you start off small doing something general, you can always expand it into something bigger by making sure that what you do at the outreach event is effective. And then this is a sort of timeline of one of our events, the Welcome Home Jersey City event that we talked about earlier with the automatas, from idea to execution. So 2 months before the event, our business team sort of came together and we started brainstorming. So we were just, throwing out ideas that we could do as outreach activities, listing them, and then we sort of narrowed it down to doing automatas. From here, we got mentor approval and started prototyping. After our first prototype was done, we got feedback from our team again and made iterations based on that. And then 1 month before the event, we had our final design for the automata ready, and then we prepared our materials. So this meant, ordering what we needed to cut the automatas out of, and then actually laser cutting them, and making our instruction manuals for the event and packaging everything. And then we had the day of the event, so we went to the event. QE members guided the kids through making their own, and afterwards, we got feedback. We followed up. We thanked the hosts for letting us attend, and we started working with them to see when we can go back to do something else. So this is sort of just an example of how a timeline works when you are planning an outreach event, and it's always important to follow up with the host afterwards.
So marketing is very important both before an event and during an event. It's important to have distinctive branding. That's why QE has specific branding standards, for example, the colors we use and the different fonts we use. Overall, for both flyers and social media posts, it's important to have different information such as the day of the event, the time of the event, the place of the event, anything overall to draw the audience into attending the event.
Okay, so now we're going to do a little planning activity where basically you're going to split up into groups, and we're going to give you a prompt for an outreach event. And your goal is to create a mini outreach plan. So basically figure out what activities you're going to be doing, create a sample packing list, robot demos, whatever you think is necessary.
So this is the prompt. You've been invited to a local festival. It'll take place outdoors, and families will be coming in with kids ages 5 to 12. What do you plan?
And some things to think about is that the audience is going to have a limited knowledge at first because this is just a local festival. The younger kids, their attention span is limited, and you are going to be working in a crowded outdoor environment. Assume that there's going to be around 1,000 people attending, 500 of which are kids. Not every kid is going to come to you to build or do an outreach activity, but your goal is to try and get all of them to. And a budget of around $200. Yeah, so we can split into groups. If you guys need paper or pens, we have that for you here. Yeah, and you have 15 minutes. Yeah.
I'd like to, whatever material.
All right, guys. So now we're just going to go from group to group, and you're basically just going to share what you discussed, your packing list, whatever you're thinking, and then So, is there a certain group that wants to start?
Put the lights on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry. It's gonna be a really
Yeah, is there a group that wants to start?
We're gonna go over.
All right.
So we first of all focused on the three major things we decided we would need for the outreach activity, which is a robot demo, graphics, and an activity to do for the younger kids. So for our robot demo, we would need batteries, carpets, game pieces, a programmer to make sure everything runs smoothly, a driver station controller, a robot cart, an anchor, and then we'd also write that we want to figure out what to do with the game pieces and robot. So you can mention what you were saying about the robot pieces and robot.
Oh, yeah. What I was saying was it depends on the robots you have. So we tend to, at the end of each season, we evaluate, okay, is this a good robot to go forward for demos? Or is it just something that looks pretty so it can sit like a lump in the corner? And we brought both types of robots to different events. So it depends on what you're doing. I said for this year's robot, we actually already adapted it just to shoot notes from when we had notes, the orange rings, because we got two of the trees, the coral trees. So now instead of it driving up and putting the coral on, it stays back stationary. Kids don't drive it. They just shoot notes and try to do a tic-tac-toe kind of thing.
Oh, that's nice.
So depending on what robots you have, depends on how you're going to bring a robot to show off. Our most popular is, 12 years old, the Frisbee robot? When was that? You know all the years.
2013.
2013, right? So, hey, that's right, 12 years old. And still runs great.
So that's what we figured out with the robots, and it could also be like the attendees can run the robots. Second, we worked on graphics, so bringing visibility to the team, which would include like our documents, like the business documents, outreach documents, also flyers, monitors to make the run like videos of our team playing matches. We also discussed about distributables / take homes, which is like maybe like you could print out 3D printed fidget toys for the kids to take home. We would also bring banners and graphics like T-shirts, stickers, pins to show the quality.
For our activity, we came up with something where we can have the kids like split into small groups, and it's like an activity that can help them learn about like the technical parts of a robot, but just like a lot more vague. So we would need like a marker, paper, participants, and like whatever obstacles we want to have them go through. So we would teach them like a very simple technical explanation of the parts, like the brain of the robot, like the computer, the tool, motor sensors, and then they each get assigned a part of the robot, and they have to go through whatever course we came up and complete whatever task, working together as those parts. And so it kind of teaches them how they all have to work together like the parts of a robot. Like if the sensors aren't relaying information, then the rest of the robot doesn't know what to do. So
That's what we decided for the activity.
Yeah, that was good, guys. Thank you. All right. This group?
All right. We also kind of thought of the idea of a robot demo. We just think that a robot demo is really eye-catching for most people who don't know anything about FRC or about robots at all to kind of look at and like, oh, that's really cool. And we discussed maybe that we just display like a primary function of one of the robots. So they like we all shared multiple examples of like robot demos that our teams have done in the past. So what you said, like the shooting and the catching bots. So there's many different things that you could do. So in terms of like a packing list, I guess it would just be everything you would need for a robot demo, members of the team who know all the ins and outs of the robot. We brought, one of our robot demos, we brought 4 members of the team, and all of them knew everything about the robot. And then we were also discussing some sort of thing to distribute to the kids specifically. We were trying to keep in mind the budget. So we came up with kind of like wooden, like basically be getting a big slab of plywood and laser cutting like a team logo or a team number or something that's small that's kind of like a pin, but it's not actually a pin. It's kind of just like a little badge maybe that you can distribute to the kids. And in addition, you could probably have during the event some sort of like Q&A, because from our experience, we noticed that not only sometimes the kids have questions, but the parents also have questions. And also because these kids are within FLL age, you could probably promote FLL as kind of like a way to get the kids more involved in robotics. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, good job. Yeah, the FLL was a good point, especially when you're at an event with kids these age and you have or are starting an FLL team. It's important to recruit there. Yes. Yeah.
A couple of times you said, make sure you have people that know. I'm paraphrasing. That's probably an excellent thing to add to your checklist.
Yeah.
Make sure that the people that are coming know what they're talking about. Because we try to drill all our kids into elevator speeches about what the team is about. But you can't, that's good to do an introduction, but it's not good sustaining for a whole day.
Yeah.
So having the right people that know what to talk about, or at least having the right mix of people that know. So, I'm not really good on this. Let me call this person over. So that person comes over and they're the expert in whatever the customer is asking. So that's probably a good thing to add to your checklist, your packing list.
Yeah.
Include the people. Because I know on our team, we try to keep all the kids as diverse as they can be, as far as knowledge is concerned. But sometimes you just don't have the right students going to the event.
Yeah.
So you may have to either fill them in on what they're going to be doing, or make sure that you get some of the knowledge of the ones there.
Yeah. All right, so thank you guys. If you have any questions, now is the time to ask, or you can always email me if you think of anything later. But thank you for coming.